Today we are going to explain a historical adventure heartwarming film, Togo, that tells the remarkable true story of an underdog sled dog named Togo and his musher, Leonhard Seppala. The story starts in 1913. Seppala is a man living in a village named Nome in Alaska. He is a sled dog breeder, trainer, and musher. A small puppy is born in his house, which is a Siberian husky breed. This puppy is very weak and sick. It's hard for it to survive. Seppala doesn't want to keep it in his house, but his wife convinces him to keep it, and Seppala gives him a chance. As time passes, Puppy grows up, but he is very mischievous and lacks discipline. Seppala's wife wants him to train the puppy as a sled dog, but Seppala thinks he is an undersized, unintelligent, and untrainable dog for the sled, and he says that the time has come when we'll have to say goodbye to him. He gives the puppy to his friend, but the next morning the man brings him back, saying that this is a mischievous dog and he can't keep it. Seppala is not at all happy with the dog's arrival, although his wife is very happy about it. The puppy hinders every task of Seppala. Whenever Seppala takes his dogs for training, he ties the puppy with the other dogs, but he digs under the ground and manages to reach the place where Seppala practices sledding with his other dogs. When he reaches there, he starts playing with the dogs, which ruins his practice. Once he falls into the water as well. Feeling frustrated by his behavior, Seppala restrains him in a barn. However, the puppy manages to abscond from the room through the skylight and reaches the same place where Seppala is practicing sled with other dogs. Seppala is now completely exasperated with the puppy and hands him over to his friend, who remarks to Seppala that she herself never venture out of the house, and now the puppy too will have to spend their entire day at her abode. However, shortly after Seppala and his wife's departure, the puppy breaks the window pane and escapes home, eventually arriving at the place where Seppala is practicing sled with his team of dogs. Seppala notices that the puppy has injured its paw, and out of concern for its safety, he places it on the sled, since it is a treacherous jungle with dangerous predators who could attack and kill the puppy due to the scent of blood. The puppy refuses to sit on the sled. Instead, he wants to run with other dogs, and he wishes to lead them. Seppala is compelled to tie the puppy behind the sled, replacing one of the other dogs. As Seppala noticed that the puppy is incredibly fast, he has to put it in a more forward position. However, even in this position, the puppy's speed is unparalleled, surpassing all the other dogs, leading them all the way back home. This sight leaves Seppala utterly astonished yet overjoyed. He informs his wife that this is not merely a sled dog, but a lead dog who left all others behind. He names him Togo, after Heihachi Togo, a Japanese admiral. When Togo becomes the lead dog for Seppala, he wins so many competitions in Alaska under the leadership of Togo. Now, Seppala starts loving Togo very much, and because of Togo, Seppala becomes very famous. Slowly, time passes and 12 years go by, and it becomes the year 1925 since Togo was born in 1913. He has now become old. And one day when Seppala returns home from his long journey, he learns that there is a major epidemic spreading in the town. Its name is diphtheria, which is affecting children severely and causing many of them to die. When Seppala arrives in town, he learns that the mayor has called a meeting, and Seppala has been invited to attend. The mayor informs everyone that the only serum available to treat diphtheria was in Anchorage, which was over 1,000 miles away from Nome. The serum has been transported by train from Anchorage to Nenana, but bad weather conditions prevented the serum from being flown the rest of the way to Nome. When the mayor asks Seppala about the weather, Seppala tells him that when he was coming into town, he saw a storm far away in the mountains that was slowly moving toward their town. Along the way, they saw a herd of caribou, but it was the first time in 12 years that Togo had ignored them and ran back home. Seppala says, "When an animal denies his nature and runs for the barn because he fears the storm, man better fear the storm." Although everyone wants Seppala to take his sled and retrieve the medicine, Seppala leaves without giving any response. When he was leaving and sled to his home, a doctor asks him for a lift to the hospital, and when Seppala leaves him hospital, he sees through a window that there are so many children. They are all sick children whose condition is very critical. They couldn't be saved without medicine. Seppala tells his wife at night that he will definitely go to get the medicine, although his wife doesn't want him to go because she knows that a 6,000 miles journey in such bad weather conditions is like committing suicide. However, Seppala convinces his wife and tells her that I have seen all the children in the hospital, and we know all of them, and I will also take Togo with me. His wife says that Togo is now 12 years old, and you yourself said that he can't even handle a 150-mile journey. And this journey is 600 miles long. You love Togo so much, and I don't want you to be the reason for Togo's death. But Seppala doesn't want to go without Togo. The next morning, Seppala says goodbye to his wife and leaves for Nanana. As Seppala and his dog's journey progresses, the storm becomes even stronger and more intense. And in the storm, there is such a strong blizzard that Seppala can't see anything. Togo leads the way, and Seppala keeps urging his dogs to move forward continuously, because they need to reach Nanana quickly and return back as soon as possible. They are on a very deep ravine. Togo sees it and stops. But Seppala doesn't understand anything, and when he looks ahead, he sees a very deep abyss in front of him. Togo had seen this abyss in this dreadful storm. That's why Togo stops, and in this way, Togo saves the lives of Seppala and all his dogs. Seppala notices that Togo's hand is bleeding. After traveling the whole day, they finally reach an outpost. At the outpost, where a doctor is present, she tells Seppala that Togo is very tired. In fact, Togo is now 12 years old, and such a long journey is not suitable for him. But the next morning, once again, Seppala and his leading dog Togo advance in this snowy and dreadful storm. Seppala wants to reach Nanana as soon as possible, which is why he is taking shortcuts. Now there is a frozen lake ahead of him with icy winds blowing, which can be dangerous to cross. However, Seppala decides to take the same route anyway. Togo is moving forward. Togo fearlessly leads the sled with the full force moving forward. Despite the lake continuously cracking by the force of the sled, somehow they manage to cross it. On the other hand, the mayor informs the media about the situation, which spreads the news throughout America. At the same time, Seppala's wife reaches the mayor's office where she learns that the medication has been sent from Nanana by a man, and they will meet it on the way. But Seppala's wife tells the mayor that Seppala will take the shortcut, and if he does not receive the medication, he will continue to move forward, which will make his journey even longer. The next morning, Seppala sets out on his journey. Even though Togo is in very bad condition, he does not want to stop. He continues to lead the sled forward. It is also true that Seppala is taking all the shortcuts, and if he doesn't meet the man carrying the medication on the way, he will reach Nanana, where he will find nothing. Seppala is extremely tired, and his eyes are closing. His dogs are relentlessly moving forward like lightning bolts in this terrible storm. But then the man named Henry, who has medicine now, his dogs see a herd of caribou, and his dogs start to chase them, causing him to get trapped up into the mountains. At that moment, Seppala was going forward the same way, and Henry sees him. Henry shouts for Seppala's attention and runs after him, but since Seppala is in a daze and the blizzard and storm are still raging, he cannot hear Henry's voice and continues to move forward. However, Henry thinks that Seppala has passed in front of him and doesn't see him. Then he sees Seppala coming back to him. Actually, Togo had stopped ahead. Togo heard Henry's voice, and now Seppala has the medicine for which he traveled so far. They both stay at an outpost for the night. At that moment, Seppala's friend Henry tells him to leave Togo here as his condition is very bad. He says, "I have lost many dogs in this storm, and I do not want you to lose Togo." But Seppala refuses outrightly, saying that Togo is his lead dog and he cannot proceed without him. And the next morning, they set out on their journey back home. Once again, they come across the same frozen lake that they have crossed the day before, which was dangerous and unstable, and if they don't take this route, their journey will be a day longer. Seppala decides to take the same path. He tells Togo to move forward, and now all of his dogs quickly start crossing the frozen lake. But now the ice has started to crack. Seppala encourages Togo to cross the lake as fast as possible. But before they can get out of the lake, the ice under their feet breaks apart from the shore. Now they are facing the water. Seppala lifts Togo and throws him towards the other side of the water, shouting, "Pull," so that the piece of ice they are standing on can reach the shore. Despite being injured, Togo pulls with all his strength and manages to drag the piece of ice that they are standing on the shore. They all make it out of a dangerous lake, and their lives are saved thanks to Togo's determination. They finally arrive at the outpost where a lady doctor is present. When the lady doctor checks Togo, tears come to her eyes. Sepula asked what happened, and she says that his dog is dying and his condition is very critical. Hearing this, Sepula also feels a lot of pain because he loves Togo very much. After spending the night at the outpost, they resume their journey the next morning. Sepula doesn't make Togo lead the way and instead places him on the sled because he is sick and weak. But Togo gets up and takes his position at the front of the team once again. Sepula realizes that Togo wants to lead and doesn't want to rest. He ties Togo back to the lead and lets him continue his journey. And then they move on, and after traveling a few hours the storm becomes so dangerous that Seppala sees nothing, nor does he know of any way to home. He goes to Togo and says to him, "Now I can't see anything, now I can't see the way and you have to show us the way." Seppala covers his entire face and hangs on the sled while Togo continues to lead the way. However, after a few hours of travel, Togo also sits down. And when Seppala looks around, he sees that all the dogs have sat down. He goes to Togo and approaches him and tells him that they have to move forward. If they don't move forward from here, they will all die. But Togo doesn't respond to him. And then Seppala sees a light coming towards him with someone carrying a lantern. Actually, this is the next outpost that Togo was supposed to reach. Upon seeing this, Seppala becomes very emotional because Togo has saved everyone's life today. Everyone goes inside, and Togo is completely exhausted and tired. At this checkpoint, there is another musher named Gunner, who was sent by Seppala's wife to take the medicine from Seppala and reach the town where sick children need it. Everyone rests here for the night, and the next day, the musher set out toward the town. He reaches the town of Nome, where a reporter was already waiting for him. The news had already reached New York that a musher had undertaken a 600-mile journey in a blizzard, risking his life to get the life-saving medicine. The reporter thinks that the team and dogs who left Nome City to bring the medicine are the same as Seppala's, and write that Balto, the watchdog of Nome City, did the job. This disappoints Seppala's wife. Meanwhile, Togo recovers somewhat and arrives in Nome City with Seppala and other dogs. Many people come to thank Togo and Seppala for their efforts. Sick children who were cured by them also come to see them. One of the girls, upon seeing Togo, asks if he is going to die. Seppala becomes upset hearing this and leaves the house. His wife follows him, and Seppala tells her that he is responsible for whatever has happened to Togo. Togo was a 12-year-old dog, and he should not have taken him along. His wife asks if anyone else could have done the job besides Togo. Although Seppala does not respond, he knows that no one could have done this job better than Togo. The next morning, Sepla is going to sled practice once again with his dogs, and when Togo sees this, he doesn't stay at home. He limps over to Seppala, understanding that Togo doesn't just want to pull a sled, but he wanted to spend time with Seppala. And after some time, when Togo fully recovers, Seppala goes on long walks with his wife and Togo. In the next 2 years, Togo has many puppies, which many mushers came to take. These puppies were given a new name and called the Seppala Siberian breed. In the year 1929, Togo passed away, but Seppala continued to train his dogs. Although Togo was famous in Alaska, the credit for his heroic deed was given to another dog named Balto, who was Seppala's new dog that he had raised and trained. Balto even had a statue made in his honor in New York. However, in 2011 Time magazine wrote about Togo, stating most heroic animal of all time. So Togo proved that dogs are the most loyal, honest, brave, and loving creatures in the world.